In the top left-hand side, we do have the blue Zerg player, who really got caught off guard by some of the openings of his opponent and died really very much so in the early game. It's DRG. Losing out his soul earlier. While ByuN kind of got obliterated by Rogue, as we saw Soul just getting obliterated by Rogue as well. That's where things stand right now. Swanning Pool first from DRG, so we already start with something a little bit interesting here, right? Swanning Pool to begin with is a little bit... definitely creates something a little bit aggressive, right? You can obviously go from this and put yourself into a position where you're able to... you're able to kind of, you know, put some pressure on. Sometimes you can go Roach Roar and beyond this. There's definitely possibilities to come through and to deal some damage, so... see how that goes as we have the... I mean, you don't have to either, right? You can just go Ling Pressure, and you can still just macro from this as well. It can be safe against a Proxy Rax play, just in case you think ByuN might be opening with that. There's a few different reasons you can do this as DRG. So as it stands, we're just going to see the pool first, and now a hatchery on it the way up. So a hatchery on the way, getting that ready to go. And yeah, a couple of racks just on the way down in the main base of ByuN. So he's actually opened with this command center first again, and he's going to play into the 2 racks follow-ups. We obviously saw him doing this against Rogue as well. He actually went for that kind of Marine Hellbat attack. It's funny, so what happens in this group, I think, is that because obviously these matches played at the same time as a group earlier. Yeah, so because what's happened is because the sorry, I was just started to reply to somebody. Because you kind of had these matches play when the same group, when a different group was playing earlier, none of these games were streamed, right? So nobody was able to see the builds of their opponents before playing the next series. So compared to the TVP group we had before, we saw a whole bunch of changes in build orders from series to series. But in this group, well, I think what we're going to see is a lot of repeated build orders, because you know, DRG didn't get to see what ByuN did, just as Rogue didn't get to see what Soul did in their initial series. And so that's why I think we're seeing some of the same things used again here from the Terran players. So it's kind of funny how that works, because I feel like if obviously these have been played one by one and the players are likely watching the streams, you probably do see ByuN doing something very different on this map in comparison. But obviously not the case this time. And obviously truly believes in what he's doing as well, otherwise wouldn't be doing it, because obviously it didn't work out against Rogue, but... and I mean, that was truly a disaster the way that one went, so... well, Feeling's going to make their way down through to the center of the map here and going to start to move across over towards the right-hand side, so... yeah, these things never really did too much early. ByuN obviously opened CC first, so CC first a really good opening against Pool first. Because the command center is finished before the Lings get here. So you can't even delay the CC. And then obviously there's no Reaper moving across the map at the wrong time. The timings of a Pool first just don't do anything negative for command center first, right? So and the only thing in which command center first is bad against Pool first is maybe like a gas pool, very fast roach attack. Then a CC first doesn't have like an early factory all of the time to be able to deal with that as easily. So I think that is when you maybe fall into a little bit more trouble. But in this scenario, it works out pretty well. He is going to put the factor on this reactor, so he's going to play exactly the same way as he did against Rogue in that initial series, which again did not go well for him. So what went wrong was the Marines went across the map on their own, and Rogue jumped on the Marines with the Lings before the Hellions and the Medevacs showed up. I wonder if ByuN makes any adjustments to the builds, because it feels like it's going to play the same way, in the sense of these Medevacs are going to pop. He's going to wait for more Hellions again, or is he just going to go with 2 this time? No, he's going to... okay, he's just going to go with 2 this time. So last time he waited for 4, which I didn't think about at the time, but I actually think is... oh, he actually does go back to the Medevacs. I was going to say, I feel like it's a little bit crazy as well, because 4 Hellions, you know, the extra 2 Hellions can easily run across the map to catch up as well. It just feels so risky to leave these... because couple of, to leave these Marines on their own through the center, reveal themselves by killing off a creep tumor. DRG has Lings, they're going to start running in, or at least has the potential to. This time, ByuN does not lose the Marines on their own, so a small positive compared to last time, as we are going to be seeing our units begin to unload, and, well, it is just Lings and Queens. Let's see how well we can defend this. Hellions morph into the Hellbats, and as the Marines stem forward, these Queens are already going to be in a whole bunch of trouble. Hellbats coming through, and they're already going to get rid of one of these Queens. Now the other Ling's going down as well. Ling's going to come in from the right-hand side. I think with the Queen damage, this is going to be okay. Queens decide to start targeting the medevac. 1, 2, 3 shots, and the medevac is gone. Just like that, a medevac shot at the sky, and, well, ByuN doesn't really find too much right away here. Resources lost is in his favor, and it is a fairly quick 3cc behind it as well, so I wouldn't say it's the end of the world. It's obviously forced some units out. The work count from DRG isn't outstanding. 58 is good, but it's not out of this world marvelous or anything. Couple things going down. As ByuN, okay, I'd say this time does enough to kind of stay in a playable position in the game. DRG with faster layers already on his way to the Spire. Will fall behind on upgrades. We'll see if he can play catch up on those at all. As these Marines and a couple Hellbats just hang out over on the right hand side. More units up through the center. Let's continue to come on in. Marines come up. A couple of these creep tumors just get picked away at. Just pulling back. Marines and the Hellbats still joining up. Bane, that's about a finish from DRG. Into the natural expansion. Just going to see a few more Spore Crawlers on the way up as well to really cover in each of his mineral lines. Doesn't really need a lot of these spores right away. I guess mostly just detection against these Widow Mine drops. Trying to make sure that the Widow Mines just don't get to stick around for too long. You can clean them out for every time. The last thing you ever want is to kind of have a lone Widow Mine you forget about or something, right? So spores are a very easy solution to Widow Mine drops. DRG still has to find a solution to the upgrade disadvantage. I mean, he's going to be down 1-1 upgrades in a few moments' time. And these mutas, they're going to have some serious work to do if they can pull that back. Or do damage equal enough to pulling back the 1-1 disadvantage, because it's a pretty serious deal as 1-1 is done here from Soul. Not Soul, from ByuN. All this TvZ is melding together as we are 6.5 hours into our second long day in a row, so apologies for misspeaking. We're kind of in a position, obviously, as we've got ourselves. ByuN already has the army, so he could go straight to 2-2. He does. And Drilling Claws. And the upgrade lead is pretty fantastic from ByuN. Excited to see if that can build into anything as the mutas show up for the first time across the map. Going for some damage into this main base. Multiple Marines going down. So a lot of these being cleaned out. A couple of these SCVs going down also. Around the right-hand side, Widow Mine Marine Hellbats starting to make a little bit of a push up in towards this upper right-hand base. And Widow Mines are burrowing, and we do see a couple more burrowing as well. Shot hits a few of the Lingbane. Continue to pull away from this now. More Widow Mines going off. More SCVs have been denied. We do have the Marines and an Overlord kill as well. The mutas show up, take some damage, back away also. Okay, ByuN just being very active with 2 different drops, right? But I will say that DRG is handling this pretty darn well. You know, really handling it like a champ on either side of the map, not really allowing ByuN to get too much done here or there. A couple creep tumors, Overlord every now and again. A couple of the Zerglings, but yeah, overall, very well handled. A job well done so far here out of DRG. Still worried about the upgrades, I'm not going to lie. It's going to be 2-2 against 0-0 for a short amount of time. And I mean, if you can hit while 2-2 is up against 0-0, Lingbane is going to melt. It's going to feel like life isn't even fair how quickly this Lingbane goes down. So, kind of watching for what ByuN can do. I mean, 2-2 is about to finish. He's got quite a lot of units at home that he's not bringing out on the map, so one of the issues that you might have to try and make something happen is that he is just playing kind of smaller groups of units that he can save with medevacs and so on. Just so that he has this kind of multi-pronged left versus right style. He's going to bring some units out as reinforcements now as 2-2 is done. He still has like 40 seconds before 1-1 is up with Berserk players. This is going to be a cleanup. Medevacs go down to the mutas, and the Marines don't have much chance as they get fully surrounded. So that's the kind of fight you need right now as DRG if you want to clean up in any sort of effective manner. Nice position here, gonna get rid of a couple of creep teamers. What ByuN really has in this position is a lack of creep spread to work with, right? And that's really good because it means he can get in this position, he can kite back off of creep, meaning that DRG does not have the speed to utilize all the way back. We do have a couple of Widowmine shots going in, big connection to the center there, as that kiting back off creep working out for ByuN. This is 2-2 versus 1-1 on this upgrade fight. So we are all going to be seeing the rest of the Mutabane continuing to chase down these Marines on the right-hand side. So it's actually going to be kind of a win for DRG in the end, first of all being able to push it back. But as he chased too far, oh my god, that Widowmine, if it retargeted, had so many potential Banelings. Mutabane coming all the way back down. Actually going to turn into this mineral line, and the SCVs pull into it as well. Oh no, 20 workers go down, and that's disastrous as suddenly ByuN. But actually felt like a good position. I liked what he was doing up here. And I was very doubtful of DRG chasing, but what a success story for DRG. Straight across the map. And fantastic is just going to be seeing the mutas turn back around up the right-hand side. 2-2 upgrades plus 2 fly attacks all coming in. Means that DRG is finally chasing down the upgrade advantage of ByuN, but it's still a way off. Now, ByuN's going to let him get back in the game a little bit in the upgrade, simply for the fact he forgot plus 3 attack. Typical ByuN, starts armor, but not the attack upgrade. That's a mistake which we've seen him make since he returned from the military, honestly. It's like a very stylistic thing of ByuN. He put barcodes on these guys, and I had to guess. I saw someone build an armor but no attack upgrade. I'd probably be like, it's ByuN! I know it! So we got 20 worker lead from DRG. That's obviously reasonable. I would say it's not the end of the world for ByuN. You look at the resources lost here overall. He's still traded well throughout the game. And 66 workers is enough to stand up on. He is going to be stabilizing back on 4 bases. And to be fair, DRG only on 5 bases himself. It's not like DRG is... Well, he's got really good creep spread. It's not like he's taken the map in terms of the base count. He's not over here going base 5, base 6, etc. Well, he's actually, for a moment, it looks like it's... There he is. He's going to take a base up here. But he's going to be, I say 5 and 6, sorry, 6 and 7. He's going to start taking those bases now, but they're not already established. So for now, ByuN is okay to stay in the game. And he's going to start building a 5th command center. That's definitely the next goal for him. You don't really win games on 4 bases anymore as a Terran unless you do a really good job of denying this 5th base. You'll go towards the 5th, and that is really where you want to start dropping the left-hand side. Really start to try and deny that base from coming up if at all possible. Because if you can do that, and you get your own 5th base running... That's generally, you know, a winning recipe in the TvZ. Now, this Widowmine retargets onto Bane's beautiful first connection on the Widowmine. Lifts the orbital. Creates a bit more space, but not sure for who, because in a way I feel like that maybe helps DRG just run more easily toward the SCVs. Mutas dive and they get the orbital command, and DRG finds another good attack in. 15 workers killed, gets rid of the orbital command center. And that obviously puts ByuN in trouble again, because all of a sudden, just we're talking about, oh, establish a 5th base and this and that, suddenly it's replace the 3rd base. And okay, the main base is more or less mined out, bit of gas that's left over, but he's going to be able to fly that forward. But that actually just means you're down an orbital, which means you're down scans, you're down your ability to clean out this creep spread, and at some points down mules as well, which can help you to make up the worker difference, help you rebuild in some of these scenarios, as mutas just have none of this. They're just saying, oh, 3 Marines, no problem, go through there. Gonna get a few more SCVs, and ByuN has just really struggled to really solidify himself on this position. Multiple times in this game, fights around this location have just gone so badly wrong for him. 3 more ultras coming up. The +3 melee and kindness plating on the way here for DRG as well will mean that he's gonna have Pretty powerful ultras on the map. Need to remember to get Carapace upgrade too. Any armor upgrade on the ultras just makes them that little bit more untouchable. So yeah, a few more, a little bit more kindness and Carapace will only go a long way. It's actually incredible the difference you see if you kind of have like +2 Marines fighting an Ultra versus +3 Marines. And the same the other way around, if you're fighting +2 Carapace on an Ultra versus +3 Carapace, the speed at which those Ultras just drop to bio units is pretty substantial. I'll run by to the top side. Not going to be too successful from ByuN, as he's also pushing the left though. How successful can this be? As a couple of Lings trying to set off the Widow Mines. Unsuccessful in that regard. I'm going to give DRG some space, so to back it up. We'll turn and just scare DRG from chasing. But it does mean that DRG has been successful in getting base number 6 up and running, and is now already taking the Ridgefest being gas on the other side of the map. So again, the bases aren't stopping. Now, ByuN's getting his 5th base up, and it doesn't look like DRG's going to do much about that. His favorite position to attack in this game is still this right-hand side, as this mine just says nuh-uh to all of those Zerglings, however. But now the Banes are going to show up, and next Widow Mine, 1 and 2. Good connections, and only a couple of SCVs go down. These were good trades from ByuN. And for once, it feels as though ByuN actually defends an attack without it just killing a whole chunk of his economy before it actually gets handled. Which is obviously a big win for ByuN. He'll be happy about that. A Queen here goes down. Banes are going to come chasing in. The bio forces of ByuN backing off. I think Widow Mine is shot in towards the Banelings. More ByuNs continue to stim up. There's another counterattack on the right-hand side, which is what ByuN is not really dealing with at all right now. It's the Mutas that are showing up over there. Well, this fight continues, and DRG again just running off creep, but having a good time of it. With 80 workers, he's had a bank, and he's rebuilding 80 Lings and more Mutas too. This base is ransacked as well, so while you lose the left side base here, maybe as DRG, you actually kill SCVs and put another dent in the Terran economy. At this point, ByuN is just trying to patch up every hole he has in his economy, right? He's trying to band-aid in so many places. He's trying to get a few units here, there, and everywhere to secure locations and to stay on at least 5 base. Again, 5 base, and against a 6 base, it's playable, right? That's kind of what you need. If you drop down to 4 bases against the 6 bases, that's not going to be so hard. Look at the resources lost. You can see it definitely did start to go in ByuN's favor. A lot of these trades, 25 to 33,000 resources lost, but it's still a little troubling, right? Because it's just not enough, especially for how much DRG still has. I mean, okay, I'll take that moment, I'll take that statement back, because actually I look at it right now, and DRG's army supply is pretty similar, and he doesn't have money in the bank. But he still has those 69 drones to the 44 workers, and this bio army is actually very beaten up, right? It's low HP, there's no medevacs with energy for healing, so this army is less effective than its size would dictate. And DRG just disengages, and he's just going to take a while mining up elsewhere. Okay, you know what? Take down the left side base, but he's got the right side bases as well, and that's where he's going to mine from to build the army to then come clean this out. Mutas show up once more. There's a turret got down into position, so again, good moves from ByuN, starting to actually really try and solidify, but so much of this solidification needed to come earlier in the game. Otherwise, now he's just been, like I say, patching up kind of, you know, with band-aids all of the holes in his defense. All of the economic losses he's been taking. Gets into a very tough spot as we just go in toward the orbital. They're looking to deny this. They will get that orbital command. Nice meter control, snipes the burrowed up Widow Mine as ByuN comes through. Okay, now he's lost another orbital. So there's one orbital left in the game. He's got a half beaten up base on this bottom side, and then bottom left is his real mining at the moment. Neither of these bases have gas left on them, so he's got a bit of gas in the bank. It's mostly mineral income we need to look at the moment. But even the gas bank, it's not going to last very long, especially if he's not mining much, so it's not like that will last forever either. There is a Thor on the way to begin with. Here is Ultra Bane going to come through. DRG is still just looking to break in and to win these fights straight up. It ain't pretty. I mean, a couple ultras go down pretty quick, but at the end of the day, DRG just has that much. Parasitic Bomb on the medevacs helping to clean those out. DRG does have the numbers to pick up game 1 of this series. He will take the lead in the elimination match. So big win for DRG, good start to the series, important for staying alive in this group. Jump on into game number 2 momentarily here. Into Pillars of Gold for our second map here between ByuN and DRG. In the top right, our blue Zerg player, who is up 1-0, played a good game. DRG really just kind of controlling, found the best opportunity, and really once he got into ByuN's mineral lines once, was constantly back in there. It was in there again and again. Was able to really just stop ByuN from ever really stabilizing once again, and it just felt like ByuN was never even really able to take the fights. And it was interesting because I really thought that DRG didn't even have like the masses of base that we saw Rogue taking and stuff, just didn't need them, right? Well, Pillars of Gold, ByuN already going to play differently, not going to go for that command center first. No surprises about that one, to be fair. Oh, give me a moment, guys. I'm just stretching out a little bit. Taking a moment or two at the start of this one. It's been a while since I had to do 2 back-to-back long days of casting. Yesterday I was like, it's the first time I had to cast like this long in ages, and now I'm just like second day, 7 hours. I'm like, oof, guys. We're out of like cast in stamina shape, you know? You know, this used to be like amateur stuff for what, 10 hours, 8 hours, but no issue. Now I'm like, geez, man, need to stand up, stretch out, take a moment. Just as we have pretty regular stuff. We've talked about this base being the 3rd a lot lately as well. Makes it easier to defend the tank pushes on your 4th. So, putting this base down on the right-hand side. So yeah, just third hatch coming through. ByuN's build just double gas, so it is going to be something aggressive. I know ByuN's rather fond of Hellbat attacks on Pillars of Gold, so maybe we go into something along those lines. Definitely a possibility. Marine is there to push that Zergling away. Yeah, medevac on the way definitely feels like the sort of setup where you would see a armory come down. He's got an SCV patrolling for that armory as well. So we are going to see the Hellbat attack early in the game. Not a real kind of like basic Hellbat attack as well. Just Hellions, couple Marines in production. And you're going to hit about 415, 420 or so with this medevac popping and going across the map. About 6 Hellbats, 3 Marines. And we'll see what DRG's preparation for this is going to look like. Right now, Queens and Lings. It is, of course, possible to hold this just with Queens. We see that a fair amount of the time. Aliens making their way up to the top side of the map, so away they go, and ready to move in the Hellbats. 415 to 420. The Blazed Hellbat build. As we morph these in, just going to be seeing Lings. Actually need to be careful. What's interesting here is these few Queens on the right side are quite far away. Unless they have the creep to get back over here, but yeah, right now a lot of time being bought for extra Lings to get out. Lings do commit on the back side of this, and they get on top of the Marines pretty quick. The medevac staying alive. One of the big parts of this being successful is keeping the medevac alive as long as possible. The longer the medevac's alive, the longer the Hellbats sustain against these queens, and hence the more damage they get done. This is just going to be a trade out from ByuN in the end, as he gets rid of another queen down over this side. Resources lost is pretty even. If he lost these 2 extra Hellions, it would be dead even. I'd say this is okay for ByuN. Obviously, you're not on a super fast 3cc. You're still keeping these couple Hellbats alive. Probably not for much longer, but you're going to get at least a couple more Zerglings at the end of the day. And you're on your way to Cloak Banshees. So it's kind of down to the Cloak Banshees more than anything, I think. Two Hellbats on the ram, just going to be able to turn the rest of the Lings around. So they're not going to find anything on the counterattack here. Yeah, it wasn't like a huge success from ByuN, but he's only 7 workers down. The biggest part of this is obviously just not being on a 3rd CC, and that's, like I say, it's halfway done. So it's on the way. You've got the Cloak Banshees to maybe do a bit more damage with and to keep the action up and running. So that's going to be our next kind of go-to, and we'll see how that plays out. As we've got a Banshee picking its way through this extractor. Queen's putting some damage out as well. Is Banshee taking some hits? The Hellions come through, able to roast down a couple of Zerglings as well. So a couple Lings going down. Other Hellions do escape away to the right-hand side. Now going to move forward and jump on top of this queen. Actually going to get a kill. So really using these Hellbats, these Lings just sat AFK. The queen goes down right next to them. And they're just like, but we're killing the rocks. Lings really have a thing for rocks, you know. They think they're evil. Don't know why. They just they're always going and killing them and nibbling at them, aren't they? Any chance they're given. I'm going to open up the rocks. You see Hellbats continuing down the bottom side. Banshee along the left. And Queen spreading creep out the front as the Spire comes in from DRG in the main base. It's just past being halfway done with the Baneling speed coming up on the Baneling nest as well. All of our Lings joining up together. Queen's actually starting to make, I mean, I was going to say walk across the map, but I was going to say I don't understand why. You're building a Spire, you know, you're about to go mutas, like, I don't know what the Queens were about to do there. Maybe we're coming forward to place creep, but didn't have energy. Either way, they just went a couple steps off creep, right? I was like, wait a second. Marines and Hellbats coming through, the Lings, the Banes continuing forwards, and we do have a few of these units lifting up and pulling back around into the center. A couple of Banshees up the left-hand side, and it's going to see all these mutalisks continue to come on through. A couple of Evo Chambers on the natural expansion. Once again, the Marines unloading back into the middle of the map. Jim is still going down. The medevac's going to load up once again and bring these Marines away. On the left-hand side, the mutalisks are making their way up and going in after this medevac. So medevac in some trouble, just about able to squeeze out of there. Because over on the right-hand side, we've got Marines coming through and a bunch of creep teamers here in some trouble as well. So, I mean, ByuN kind of cleaning up map control, just pushing DRG back that little bit. On our way to 1-1 melee upgrades again. Late upgrades here from DRG as he really prioritizes the mutas, but it's more than just prioritizing mutas. He's not just prioritizing mutas, he's also, like, even with mutas being this early, you could have the Evo Chambers a bit earlier. And he had to have them earlier than he did last game, so there is an improvement. But it's still definitely the biggest weakness of DRG that ByuN was not able to exploit at all last time around. You know, the fight that was meant to be good for him with an upgrade lead turned into the fight that probably gave DRG the most momentum in the game. But a mine shot doesn't go off there. Doesn't go off at all in the end, blown up by the Banelings. As the Banshees finally get cleaned up, the muta's going to get rid of those. And I would say, overall defense from DRG has been pretty great, huh? I know the early game Hellbats were like, yeah, kind of here and there, but only losing one drone throughout all the Hellbat attacks, throughout the Marines stimming around, and those Banshees being on the map. One drone's a very impressive number, so good on DRG, keeping his workers alive, and that's allowed him just maintain 86 workers already. Now he's already just going to jump on ByuN. Power of ByuN's army is its ability just to jump straight into the medevac. As long as the mutas aren't nearby, he can just lift up to evacuate. But you've got to be careful about that. All it's going to take is you lift up to evacuate one time incorrectly. Those mutas jump on your medevacs, you're losing 20 to 30 supply, and this game completely changes. Hits that Widow Mine too late, so it is going to take the shot onto the mutas. Loses one, splashes the others. Not the end of the world, just obviously could have been slightly better. Didn't need to happen. On the way to Hive Tech here from DRG, I imagine it's going to start looking similar to the last game as he tries to run it at the front, doesn't do too well. Yeah, I imagine this looks similar to the last game. You move in towards the Hive, you just go into Ultras and Adrenal Glands, and that's the kind of game I think you can absolutely win right now as DRG. ByuN, 4th base in position. Isn't a planetary fortress just yet. DRG's not going to bother committing into this fight or anything to actually deny it. And so he does have his own 5 bases running already. Again, 97 workers. That economy is absolutely booming. And ByuN just has not really done anything about it in a while. Look at it, it's getting out of hand, really. So you got to do something soon as ByuN. Your army supply is rising. This is where you need to start taking some fights, and hopefully fights that lead you into, pushes into, mineral lines and stuff that can help you to close out the games. And then comes around the center. We do see the Marines and Widow Mines continuing through. Widow Mines, one of them got to go off, but a lot of them just getting blown up ahead of time. Obviously far from ideal as the Zerglings continue to chase. And Marauder goes down, a few Marines off to the right. Not going to do so well either. I'm just going to be seeing again the 3-3 upgrades on the engineering base continuing through. That's actually a nice Widow Mine, at least just kind of left behind from earlier. Does get a chunk of looting. As DRG getting adventurous on the top left base. No real creep spread there or anything, but why not try to get it up and running, I suppose. Top left and the other one with it as the last couple of bases that DRG should typically take on this map. Once you get to 7 bases, it's a question of can you mine from the Terran side of the map at all? If you can do that, that definitely helps you. DRG loses a couple of units there, and ByuN is going to be happy to keep on fighting if it's just Lings that are showing up. 2-2 against 1-1 right now. That upgrade advantage actually showing for once. There's a lot of Baneling show up, and that is just a numbers game at the end. But DRG needed an outnumbering amount of units to really kind of win that because, again, without the upgrade advantage, or even upgrades just being even, ByuN was just starting to absolutely shred. All gets caught in the front, but that's actually not a bad thing. It can be evacuated, and it does soak up a couple of unit shots initially as well, as somebody has a lag spike. We recover though, and the rest of the lane being continues through. The Widow Mine's going off onto a few more of the Zerglings. DRG is kind of winning out on this left-hand side. Again, I think the bigger issue here from ByuN is just making sure he can keep on rebuilding. And right now, resources lost is not that much in his favor. The thing about last game, we talked about 2 to 3k early, and it became much more further down the line. It's 2.5k difference now, and it's just less than previously. So definitely some work to be done from ByuN, but he's about to enter a stage of the game, especially as these Ultras first come out. But he doesn't trade very well at all. Like, once the Ultras have had a bit of time, you've kind of got a bit of a better answer to them, you sort of trade very efficiently against them as well. But the Ultras first coming out is definitely going to give you a phase of this game. It's going to definitely give you a phase of this game where you're able to just kind of trade better as DRG, and if you can take advantage of that, ByuN might be in some serious trouble. As CC here will be kept alive. We're looking toward taking a 5th base right now as the Terran player. Being coming through, the Ultras coming in as well. Mutas are going to jump in on top of these medevacs. A couple of Widow Mines here. I mean, these units all clumped up as they run forwards. I'm not sure the Ultras will do too much better if they continue in on this. Mutas are going to get some more damage onto that CC, but not enough to kill it off or anything along those lines. Nothing too outrageous. And we're just going to rebuild again from DRG. The 90 workers continue to come through. Resources lost still staying around 2,500, so DRG trading, perfectly fine. Same as his opponent in each of these last couple of skirmishes. Right now, he actually didn't have an overseer here. I thought he did, and that's why he was kind of flying toward that mine. No, didn't actually have the setup, as he's going to go for the denial in this 4th base. Becomes expensive. The Banes are going to show up last minute. They don't really crash into anything too useful. A few Marauders. DRG escapes away up the right-hand side. Maxed out. With these mutas flying off into the sunset. It's going to be seeing the rest of the bio continue to come on through. Just coming around, couple of Widow Mines going down. We do see these SCVs in a bit of trouble. Miss, that turret is going to go down. No, not quite yet. It gets the one on the far left-hand side. Ultra Bane going to come through, and these units are going to be kind of on creep. So this is actually going to be a better fight from DRG as he jumps on ByuN. ByuN has no splash damage here either, so no way to stop a massive Banelings from crashing in. Medivacs load up a few of the units. Evacuation is in full swing right now as the mutas cleaning up over on this left-hand side, trying to still break this position. Wants to open up this 5th base for attack, but maybe won't do it with the mutas, but probably will just do it with reinforcements because ByuN lost so much in that upper left side with no Widow Mines or anything along those lines, or anything there. That's actually going to be GG, and DRG is just going to take game number 2. ByuN not going to stick in it. He knows DRG's got this one under. We have got in the bottom right-hand side the Blue Zerg player. It is DRG. Leading 2-0 in the best of 5. As in the top left, our red Terran is ByuN, who he's getting into decent positions. I actually didn't really hate ByuN's position at any point of that game. He's just having a fight every so often that is just so bad for him, it becomes almost irrecoverable, you know? That's what's happening. Like he's getting into decent spots, some better than others, but there's just one fight that keeps happening that just kind of is the nail in the coffin. And in general, I'd say he's not having the best of time trying to deny DRG bases and stuff like that either. But like I say, the games are still playable until you just go on to creep with no splash damage and then you lose everything. That was obviously absolutely disastrous. Overlord heading across, would you see the barracks to follow up a CC first here? So we're going to be seeing Command Center first again from ByuN, so going back to something which he's tried and tested in this series before, but not worked out yet. At this point, ByuN's 0-4 on the day. Obviously in TvZ, not having the best of setups, but yeah, back to the double racks on a follow-up here. Let's get this ready to go. Tractor comes down, and obviously a tech lab expected on this second racks as well at some stage. We get ready to go into the nice quick stim. There's 2-on-1 follow-up from a CC first. Again, kind of what I would call a ByuN special. Ah! The sponsors are attacking us. Sorry, guys. I need to fix that. Sorry, we had an issue with one of the sponsor logos, and I've just been trying to fix it. And just as I tried to edit something, I forgot to click off, and there's something that I press in game. I think it might be the button I press to follow units around the map. It also translates to an expert hotkey to maximize whatever I have selected to the full screen. So, apologies for blowing up sponsors in your face, but you should check them out because they're making Stay at HomeStory Cup happen. So hell yeah to the streams, to the tournament sponsors, Mythcom, Panasonic, GeForce RTX, all the others. I don't know all of them. I think AOC. Shopify. Hey, there we go. The Shopify logo. So here's what happened. This was kind of funny, but the Shopify logo, the eye on top of the the dot on top of the eye, it had left. It had gone toward the F. It had slipped off to the right in my previous image, and I don't know why. Apparently, the image they'd originally sent me for sponsor logos just had the dot on top of the eye in the wrong place. So we were just trying to get that fixed, and hence why the sponsor logos came full on in your face and all of that. Of course, Shopify not just sponsoring this tournament, but now Shopify Rebellion, the new team of ByuN, worth mentioning as he is in this series, of course. ByuN, Scar, and Lambo, they are also going to be playing in the World Team League I was talking about a little bit earlier. We'll be casting that again every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so make sure you tune in for that. I'm very excited to see what the Shopify Rebellion can bring. I think they're a very cool team, right? I think they have a lot of potential. Scarlet and Lambo, I think, are absolutely capable of winning a map here and there, and ByuN, if he can show up, I think they can take some good series. You know, they don't have, like, the all-star, like, DPG lineup of, like, Rogue Q or Dark Zest, you know? But it's a lineup that can definitely be competitive and definitely make a pretty good attempt at playoffs, I would say. It's exciting. Oh, here comes our Marines through the center of the map. So what's different about this one is we never saw the factory onto the reactor, so he's not going for that kind of like Hellbat version of this, which we've been seeing him doing earlier today. This time ByuN's going to keep it a little bit more regular, a little bit more kind of on the norm. As we do see Queen Ling coming in from the bottom side, and he's actually going to go and dive on the Queen's. Good transfusions, though, not going to let anything drop. And that's just a bunch of Marines going down. Doesn't get a target find any medevacs. We just chip away at a couple of the Marines and force ByuN back to the center of the map a little bit to take ByuN away from the aggressive position, at least. Sims didn't gain just round 2 of this extra medevac, but I feel like with losing a few Marines in the initial phase of this, oh, nice Widow Mine. Losing the initial Marines meant that the follow-up kind of medevac of Marines didn't really make this too crazy. They're not really able to push on through or anything. We do see a 3rd CC building that natural expansion in ByuN. Gonna bring it back up to the top side of the map. All the creep team is going down. We do have the other Marines around the right-hand side. A bit of back and forth. Again, the Queenling Bane taking some hits. I mean, I like what ByuN's doing, right? He's putting a good amount of pressure on, and he's not breaking through and dealing too much damage. Resources lost is pretty even. Trading out is obviously always nice, because anything you trade out is generally going to force the Zerg to then rebuild units rather than rebuild drones. I say rebuild drones, but build more drones. So anything you can do to start slowing down that Zerg economy. And there's a couple of little trade outs. They do slow a drone here, a drone there. And you see ByuN taking a 3rd base, down 12 workers, and I'd say overall that's pretty fine. There's an early carapace upgrade from DRG that helps him to trade against these Marines a lot. It actually just means that these Marines don't do as well fighting with these Lings in situations like this, but also when they're in the medevacs across the map. So the carapace early was a pretty common response to 2-1-1 and has been for a long time. So yeah, kind of cool to just see that. I mean, it's working perfectly here, right? Definitely just helps these Lings be a little bit sturdier against the Marines, and even in this run-by was absolutely aiding it as well. Things go running on through, and we just have a couple of SCVs kind of getting stuck in the corner. That was not the way to pull them. They just ran out to the bottom left-hand side. They probably would have got away, but instead ByuN just kind of sits them into a choked-up area. They can't go anywhere, and suddenly you lose 10 SCVs, so not ideal, as you do see the couple Widow Mines and the Marines making themselves known about out down to the bottom side. So ByuN with another little push here. He does have 1-1 now, and he's going to be ahead on upgrades for the fact that +1 melee is not done from the Zerg side of things. On the right side, pushing as well, so just dropping in these couple of different places. ByuN going for that multi-prong, which we've seen so much of from him as of late. ByuN's back around the bottom side. Still 3 medevacs coming through. DRG is going to go Infestation Pit in the Hydra Den. So that suggests we're probably going to get to see some lurker play from him. We've not obviously seen that at all just yet. So DRG switching it up a little bit as we move on into that. Medevac's going to have to lift up and decide where they want to go and drop things next, as they're kind of stuck in this little corner. On the right side, another drop that gets turned away. Low HP medevacs there too. You got to make sure you don't just lose out on those. That would be disastrous. So gotta be cautious about that, as we do see 2 more factories building. ByuN gonna go factory heavy. Generally, as you go up against lurkers, a higher siege tank count would be fantastic to have. So I imagine that these factories are gonna get tech labs, and they're gonna get siege tank production started to begin preparing for this lurker transition, because you don't need triple factory to deal with, to make widow mines and to, to deal with Ling Bane. Unless you want to make like more widow mines than anyone's ever made before, but that's just not really a thing. Usually 3 widow mines at a time is plenty. So unless ByuN knows something that I don't, which is very possible. I think ByuN probably knows a lot of things I don't about Starcraft, but I don't think mass widow mine production in TvZ is going to be one of them. A lot of Ling Bane just lings straight into the third. Unit's just not in position, so you can't do anything about this as ByuN. Best you can do is lift up the CC and say, what? Oh my god. Hang on a second. DRG just crashed in and won this series 3-0. Let's just take a quick rewind here and just have a look at this again. Like, holy crap, this kind of came out, and DLG's, like, teching up, by the way. Like, he's building up units, he's going into the lurker den. Like, he's not set up to, like, immediately win the game. So ByuN just has too many units on the map, right, is the problem, and he's not doing anything with them, so it gives DRG the chance to fight? Is that what it is? These 2 medevacs out of position, these 2 medevacs out of position. So DRG takes everything, but, like, there's so few units left behind to deal with this comparatively. He just has a huge army supply advantage running in, and because ByuN was also on the left-hand side, these units are out of position, and it's just as ByuN stopped widow mine production to make siege tanks, so he doesn't have any splash damage here. That's just a horrible timing for ByuN, and DRG just runs in and ends the series just like that. 3-0 for DRG! Damn! ByuN is out of stay at HomeStory Cup.